Hi, Dave Heimke's here at the filer station again, and we're going to do a little variation on that hail study like we did a few weeks ago. Basically, the essence of these hail studies are see how close we can come to that growing point and have that plant still survive. So I took a plant, I cut it, split it, found the growing point, and then measured up, and it's about 3 inches above the ground. So what I'm going to do now, instead of using the string trimmer, I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut the first stalk at 3 inches. So basically, just cut the top of that growing point off. And then I'm going to do another one at 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. And we'll just see where that line is, basically. Where can it still come back and make an ear and survive? I set up the time-lapse camera again, so we'll see how long it takes. But I'm going to cut these back. We're going to take a look at the camera next week, and we'll evaluate it, and we'll see where we come out. But like I said, basically we're going to cut it right down to the growing point, which I expect these first ones will be dead. I mean, I can't see how it'll come out of that, but we're going to cut it down to nothing and see where we go. So I'll get cutting, and we'll see where we're going to turn out next week. Hi, Dave Heimke's back at Filer again. Last week we cut this corn off, and if you remember, I cut this one off at 3 inches, which is right at the growing point. I basically cut the top of the growing point off. This plant I cut at 4 inches, so 1 inch above the growing point, and then 5, 6, 7, and all the way through. I took a peek at the time-lapse camera, and by the second day we were starting to see regrowth. By about the third, fourth day, I was starting to get this leafing out. Bottom line is I kind of assessed this. Like I said at the last week, the 3-inch stuff we killed, and I expected that. I actually thought there was a good chance we'd kill the 4-inch, but that came back. Now the 4 and 5 inches, so basically 1 and 2 inches above the growing point cut, I don't think that's going to yield very high. That's going to hit it pretty hard. We're not going to get a very good yield response. We'll take it to yield in the fall, and we'll show it and see how it comes out. But I think we're going to get a pretty small ear on this. The 6-inch, so 3 inches above the growing point, we're starting to get pretty good yield regrowth on that. I think we'll probably have a yield hit on this as well, but not as bad. But once we get to 7 inches, so 4 inches above the growing point and beyond, I think that corn's going to be just fine. So if we come into one of those situations where we get some hail or cut off corn, cut it up through, look at the growing point like I showed you last week. Look at that growing point. If we're 3-4 inches above that growing point with good green healthy material, I think we'll be fine. So hope that helps, and we'll talk to you again soon.